A UN fact-finding mission says that Iran is refusing to allow it to investigate alleged human rights abuses. The mission was set up to look into the Islamic Republic's treatment of protesters following the death of a young woman in police custody last September. People who took to the streets to demonstrate have faced execution, imprisonment and serious injury. Zanya Tondro lost his right eye, an incident that led him and his family to seek refuge here in Germany.
Arrival in Munich. For Zanya Tondro, this marks the end of a long and dangerous journey from Iran.
I am relieved. We suffered a lot on our way here. We were stuck in a refugee camp and at sea.
The 18-year-old and his family entered Germany on a 2-year humanitarian visa with the help of an activist group called Munich Circle. Zanya was shot in the face during an anti-government protest and will undergo surgery here to save his eyesight. This is his story.
I was in town with a friend when we heard gunshots. I thought, why should I stay back when others are fighting? I went to join the protest. The first shot hit my shoulder and my hand as I was raising it. I turned around to see where my friends are. That's when the second round of shots hit my eyes. Then they came and pulled me into a car.
Who?
People with walkie-talkies. I don't know who they were. I vomited blood in the car. They stopped and threw me out into the street.
My brother-in-law phoned me and told me that Zanya was hurt. I said, just tell me. Is he alive or not?
His worry didn't stop there. His 13-year-old daughter also took part in anti-regime protests.
I wanted to fight for freedom. I wanted to avenge my brother, but it was impossible.
For now, they're safe in Germany. But Zanya has another journey ahead. He still has pellets lodged in his head and could lose sight in his left eye too. An Iranian-born doctor wants to prevent that.
His eye has managed to heal by itself a little. We are working out a treatment and surgery plan.
It'll be the first step towards healing. In hindsight, was it all worth it?
In my opinion, yes. But I hope that all our blood was not spilled for nothing.
What do you hope for?
To one day see a free and flourishing Iran with the eye that I have.
And that report was a co-production between DW Persian and DW News. Yalda Zarbak is head of DW's Persian service, so welcome, Yalda. The young man we just saw in the report, he's just one of scores of people blinded by Iranian security forces during the recent protests. Tell us more.
Yes, that's correct, exactly. Zanya is one example of so many young people who have been kind of blinded or at least lost sight due to so-called bird shots. They were taking part at protests and security forces shooting at them, and many have eye injuries or have gone to hospitals to be treated. The thing is that now we know that reports say it might be about 1,000 of cases, and Islamic Republic does everything to prevent these cases from becoming public. But people like Zanyar, for them it's very crucial to show their protests going on. And we've spoken to many others also, especially young women also being targeted a lot in their face, in their eyes, but also in their breasts and genitals. So this is a very systematic way to intimidate the protesters and to silence them. But not only the protesters, also the medicals. For instance, many doctors are afraid or scared to treat the wounded because they have to fear reprisals or arrests. And so many treat them secretly, kind of. And we know also that there has been a lot of surveillance by Iran's security forces and intelligence in hospitals.
So when victims like Zanya speak out, then they are risking a lot, but it's so important that they do.
It is indeed. There are two sides to this. On the one hand, it is very risky and dangerous for the victims to speak out. On the other hand, it is crucial because this is a form of evidence about the human rights violations and the crackdown on protesters taking place in Iran. For instance, Zanyar Tondru, when we reached out to him at first, when he was in Turkey, he wanted to speak out, but he was afraid because, as we know, Iran's intelligence is very active in Turkey. So Iranians who left the country and are right now in Turkey are not safe there as well. But then at the same time, we have seen many young Iranians in Iran who took to social media, who showed their blinded eyes as a form of protest. One of them, or the pioneer, was a 21-year-old law student, Ghazal Ranjkesh, who was not even taking part in a protest. She was on her way home when she was shot. And she used this as a way to say that you might be able to blind us, but not to stop us from fighting for freedom. And with her, there has, a huge, maybe more than 50 young people taking to the social media channels and showing their faces and their injuries.
And a fact-finding mission's been set up to look into these human rights abuses during these protests. What have they said ahead of their report's publication?
The fact-finding mission, who had heard the first oral update on their findings today at the Human Rights Council, actually they made it very clear that they're very concerned about the deteriorating human rights situation in Iran. For instance, there have been over 26 people sentenced to death in connection with the protests, and over around 7 young men that we know of have been executed. They were urging Iran to stop the executions and also to cooperate more with the fact-finding mission, because so far Iran has they have not let any information. They didn't grant access to information or to the people in Iran and to the fact-finding mission to enter the country.
Thanks for that, Yalda, head of DW's Persian service, Yalda Zabak.